Order is restored.
Order is restored, huh?
How
It
you
just
feel?
it just took us to defeat the the Swamp Dragons to
That's
put
it.
order. That's it.
That's it, man. You
That's
get
it.
you get right. As Evan Roberts said, the Knicks always clap back and get right against the Nets. So he was in the building tonight. I'm happy that they lost by damn near 50 in front of him, and we got the dub, man. But yeah, like I said, overall, man, I just thought overall the energy was good, the energy was right, and you could see it in everything that they did, from the ball movement, the play movement, how they went fighting through screens, navigating screens. Defensively, again, just the effort, man. It had to start with effort, and they didn't relent. Didn't relent, man. 120-66. Your thoughts?
Good win for the Knicks. Good way to get back into the winning column of things. Nice to see that they, took the belt to ass for this one
Approach?
against
Yeah.
the Nets.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a good win, man. I mean, I'm not going to make too much of this win. I mean, there's a lot more to go after what we saw for the entire month of January, but
Yeah.
good way to get back on track. But other than that, they did go back to their principles that we see. Saw Cat getting some nice passing from the post, saw some cutting from your wings, saw some defense finally. That was nice. Jalen Brunson looked good,
Yeah.
after having a shaky outing was it 2 nights ago against the Dallas Mavericks, but look, man, for me, it's going to take a lot more than just being the Nets to say, everything's fully back on track. It's
Yeah.
a good step in the right direction. Good to see them getting back to their principles once again. It's going to take a lot more for
Yeah.
them. Just because, look, like, you're not going to be playing the Nets every single night. The
Right.
Nets, they're thinking about, there's talks about Michael Porter Jr. being traded. Do the Warriors go out and go get him? Especially, are they more urgent outside just trading Kuminga now that Jimmy Butler's down? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on with the Nets where you can't really take too much away. But hey,
Yeah.
if they lost tonight, then all hell would have broken loose. So I'm thankful that the New York Knicks
All right.
beat the Nets, because if they did lose tonight, then the show is
It'd be on fire.
completely different.
Yeah, it would be absolutely on fire. So I guess the players-only meeting worked because clearly you saw just better effort from everybody, man, literally from the starting five. And I thought one thing that was very interesting to see was a lot more off-ball action for JB tonight. 20 points, got his points efficiently, but got a lot of them. Yeah, he started the game off taking a shot, and later on in the first quarter, he got like a late shot clock shot, but he got a lot of shots where they were feeding him. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that was, his decision, the team decision, Brown decision, but, more JB off ball tonight than we've seen in a lot of games, man. What'd you think about that?
It's good, man. It's good to see that, because that's what was leading to their success earlier this season, right? Where you
Yeah.
saw JB working a lot off ball. How about the times were talking about, hey, he was having fewer touches than he did last season, right? And that was based off Mike Brown's principles of saying, hey, we're going to have multiple initiators. We're going to have guys really sharing the rock. And then it's going to allow JB, the best player on the team, to get better open looks and not have to work twice as hard. So to see that happen tonight, it's a good way to say, hey, let's reset. As you mentioned, they had that players only meeting. So good stuff. Good way to get back on track after a brutal night against Dallas. But, once again, it's just moving it forward. Let's see it continue
Yeah.
to work this way, because you can do this against the Nets. It's nice. You should be able to do this against teams that are not, your caliber. You should be able to blow these teams out. Good, but nevertheless, good work for JB, man.
Good
Hopefully
work.
hopefully this is the reset that we see to take this team moving forward, because look, man, we already know. We did a 3-hour show the other night, and it was
Yeah.
it was
It was a funeral. We had a funeral here.
yeah.
If you want to call yelling, shouting, and Ari, in an emotional outrage, a funeral, it was that type of night. So, shout out Courtney J in the chat, franchise channel member. Salute to our franchise channel member. Salute to the replay gang. I forgot to establish that protocol. Salute to you guys. He said even Cap played a little defense tonight. Yeah, you saw me. He's getting skinny through screens. He's closing guys out. Wow, okay. Because, like I said, after that Monday game, when he's talking about everybody else, you got to want it, you got to do this. I'm like, Cap, I was there, man. Like, you wasn't playing like you was wanting it, man. So I'm glad that, my man was literally walking into closeouts on Monday. So, I don't know if the ankle's feeling better, but at least he led by example tonight, or at least tried to on the defensive end, and it didn't hurt him. Even Cat, active hands out there on the defensive end. So everybody just had a little bit more pep in their step. I saw Mikal Bridges lay up tonight. You saw a lot of unusual.
Oh, my God.
You saw a lot
Mikal
of
Bridges had a
unusual
runner,
things
man,
tonight.
going into traffic.
A runner. He got his deep paint touches, and, yeah, it was good effort by the squad tonight. Hey, let's talk about our role player of the night. How about Landry Shamet, man? 18 points off the bench for Sham. Wow, 6 of 6 from downtown. Best game of the season for him so far. Thought he was moving well, moving the ball, and
better than the Heat game, CP?
Oh no, I'm bugging out. No, that Heat game was his. That was his game. It was we were so far removed and so much losing. I forgot about the good times. I forgot about all the good times. You know what I mean? But yeah, correction. Since the Heat game, but since the injury, good job by him. 18 points for Shamet, man. Perfect from downtown. What'd you think?
I thought this was a great game by Shamet, man. Out of all the guys, I mean, you're going to get effort from Shamet on a consistent nightly basis. He just plays with a lot of, vigor, man. And that's what you need, especially when you look at a team that was not doing that for a long time. Think about this. CP, he hadn't played since the 22nd when he got injured against Orlando, and he only played 3 minutes. His first game back was against Golden State. He went 2 of 7 that night, 1 of 3 against Phoenix, 2 of 5 against Dallas. Tonight, being his 4th game back from injury, it only took him 4 games to get back into a hot shooting streak. As you mentioned, 6 of 6 from downtown, 6 of 7 from the field. He only did this in 15 minutes, by the way. He had more points than than minutes tonight, which is phenomenal for Shamet, and definitely by far his second, third best game of the season as a Knick this year. But good to see him bounce back because he is so needed, CP, especially when you talk about having wing depth coming off the bench. And even though he's not a lockdown defender, I think his energy is just infectious. It's like Deuce McBride, right? Mm-hmm. Deuce, obviously the better defender, better perimeter defender. But when you have somebody that plays with that up-tempo beat, it's contagious and will help everybody else play at that level. So I thought it was a really good night for Shamet. I thought he was playing very well on both sides of the court. Great night, man, for him just because coming back from injury when we saw what happened last season and to get back and get correct this soon, this is phenomenal.
And our player of the game, Al, is once again the captain, Jalen Brunson. 20 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds for Cap. Hey, only 1 of 8 from downtown, but it's still a good game and only 31 minutes. Light work for Cap, 8 of 17 from the field. And as we said, opening up the show, you saw from the opening tip-off, Captain Clutch deferring to his guys, setting his guys up, playing with pace on the defensive side, getting skinny through screens, very, very physical, and attacking closeouts. I thought Captain Clutch, who held that players-only meeting, looked like he made a concerted effort to lead by example. That's all you could ask for. Light work for him. Didn't get hurt. Didn't have to put in too much. And got some much-needed rest for the fourth quarter. Easy one.
Yeah, and based on everything that you said, he needed to go out there and do that, man. As the captain, not only do you have to have, the gravitas to hold a locker room and be able to talk to people, but you got to go out there and show that you can do it too. Nothing speaks louder than your actions. And so for a guy who has not been playing defense a lot, who has been, questionable when it comes to sharing the rock at times, especially during the month of January, I would hope that if you're going to hold a players only meeting, that you're going to hold yourself accountable and go out there and do, what's right for this team. So good to see that. And look, he's got to continue doing that moving forward, man. We went from, season starts like halfway at the end, towards the end of October. Then you go until, end of December. So you have like really 2.5 months of him like playing at this high level. And then for an entire month, you just revert back. You got to make sure that you continue to do that moving forward. So good for Jalen Brunson for coming through and taking that onus in leadership. Continue to do that moving forward because that's going to speak more volumes towards the team and getting everybody else involved, man. This is where, you hear about got to sacrifice yourself, got to like be there for the team and asking. You mentioned it on the last post game. They want Brunson to sacrifice more. This is part of it, man. So can't always worry about your own accolades and the stats and moving forward. Guys will recognize your talent. We know that. You're going to have the moments, especially in the clutch, man. You're going to get those moments. Go make sure the rest of the team is rolling because you don't want to have to continue to do all the work again. That's why we got rid of Tibbs. We did
That's
not
right.
want you to do all that work. So get guys involved early. Keep guys motivated, keep talking them up. Keep those guys engaged because if they're producing, it's going to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, that is true. And hey, another Gotham lob to the Block Nest Monsters. So what is that? 3 in a week? We cooking.
Wow.
We cooking right now. We got three. We got more
What
Gotham
was
lobs
that?
to the Block Nest Monster in 1 week than he has than the two of them have had in 3 years. So hey, we
I was
cooking.
about to say,
Yeah.
what was it, like 10 passes? I think it was like 10 passes they had at one point, like one season for assists or 10 assists in total. I was like, that is
Yeah.
sad, man.
You got to feed them. These guys don't just want to be doing cardio out there. And, yeah, it was something that I mentioned after the game on Monday where, especially when they were cooking early with that 29-7 or whatever record it was, and they won the cup, and offense was blazing, second in the East, second in the league and all of that. And everybody's like, okay, everybody's eating. Well, look, that sentiment was not shared by everybody on the team, despite what it looked like in the stat sheet. So I do wonder if that was talked about in the meeting. I hope it was. I hope as the captain, I hope he solicited that feedback from the guys in terms of, hey, what do you want me to do better? And I hope that said players, mention that and express that to him so that they could all get on the same page. But as you said, he doesn't have to always do it by himself, but I still believe that it's a challenge for him in that, especially in the last week or so that they had where from the Detroit game on, where they went up against much tougher defenses, like with the Detroits and what the Phoenix Suns are doing right now. They just beat the Sixers, as they said. When they start tightening up and really exposing the flaws and the vulnerabilities of these guys, the lack of ball handling, closing out quicker on them at the three-point line. And so I think it forces him to force the issue himself because it's like, damn, like if McCall doesn't have it or OG's turning the ball over or if Cat's flying into the middle of the crowd, I got to do more to keep us in the game or else we're cooked. And then everybody starts pressing and it affects the defense as well. So I think that's the balance that he has just as the point guard, but also being the best and most reliable scorer on the team. It's an interesting dynamic.
It's a tough dynamic, man. I'm not saying it's easy. It's easier said than done for him to go out there and execute and still be that guy that you can rely on and keep everybody involved, man, especially when guys aren't hitting their shots or they're not being aggressive. And but we could read that as the game progresses, right? We could see who is being aggressive and who isn't and understand. Like we've seen that in the past too, where like guys don't have it and you got to rely on Jalen Brunson. If you're, I think for him, man, it's tough because each game is not the same, right? It's like
Right.
a different chapter every single night. All right. Who's going to have the hot hand to start? Who's going to be the guy that can initiate the offense, right? It's not, it doesn't necessarily need to be Jalen Brunson. Maybe it's Karl Anthony Towns who gets it going early in the first quarter. Maybe it is Josh Hart's night. Maybe it is OG or McCall's. And so he has to recognize that balance and let those guys continue to cook as well. But I will say that it is difficult for him because let's also understand that for the last this is his fourth season as a Knick. The last 3 seasons, right? Playing under Tom Thibodeau, where you are in an ISO heavy centric offense, you get ingrained into certain things, man. And so I can understand why it's also hard for him to kind of get out of his own way where you've been empowered by a coach who says, hey, my two best players, you have the green light to go ISO whenever you can, especially after like it's like, all right, we'll go through our first set. Nothing happens. All right, Brunson, go to work. Go get us a bucket because we need to. And that's been the course the past 3 seasons with Tibbs. He's got to adapt. He's got to learn differently under Mike Brown, who is more of a share the rock. Whoever's feeling is going to be their night type of coach. But while it is difficult, you still got to lean into it, man. You got to. This is where it's like the trusting of what the coach is preaching, right? You have to. If you don't trust that your teammates are going to get in rhythm either against these difficult teams, then you're still going to set yourself back. So as long as you try and work out on the principles and see that if it, like and try to go through those motions, trying to get it to work, it's one thing if you say, hey, we got to resort back to this because it's not working, but to go straight out to it, that's where I think the issue lies.
The key stats of the night brought to you guys by Z-Biotics. Knicks shoot 57% from the field out, 29% for the Nets. Knicks shoot 50% from three. Nets shoot 28%. And Knicks go 71% from the charity stripe. They almost beat the Nets by 30 on the boards. 28 assists for the Knicks on 46 made field goals to 15 assists for the Nets. Turnovers, 12 Knicks turnovers led to 12 Nets points. And the Nets turned it over 14 times, which led to 18 Knicks points. So good job by the Knicks getting into those passing lanes and being disruptive. Being disruptive. So good job there. And lost my spot. Hang tight. Lost my spot just for a second. Points in the paint, 46-20. Knicks won that. And then 59-2. Largest lead of the largest lead, 59 for the Knicks to 2 for the Nets. Your thoughts, man, on this doozy?
Whew. My analysis is that the Knicks did a lot of good, and the Nets did a lot of bad. So, I mean, look, man, the takeaway is that the Knicks were just dominating the entire. Every single category. Here's the one that's really cool. CP, the Knicks won the second chance battle opportunity, 12-0. Nets didn't even get any second chance opportunity points. The defense was stifling.
Yeah,
absolutely stifling. The rebounding was stifling. Those are going to be the two categories that stood out the most. 63-36. Come on, man. Can the Knicks just get the next game against the Nets to really get things, back in motion?
Back on track.
But this is the stuff that you want to see, man. You want to see the Knicks get out in transition, the 28-4. I don't want to make too much of it because, I want to see the Knicks do this consistently and not just against a weaker opponent. But the 28-4, just taking the opportunities to get out in transition, man, making it easy for yourself. That's what you want to see this team do. You want to see them dominate the paint. They have the capability of doing that. They got the players to do that. So all good numbers through and through. Everything is just off the charts for this one. But if you watch the game, you know why. But good. Everything was great for the Knicks tonight, man. Everything was going in the direction.
Yeah, I'll go with just about everything. But overall, the shooting percentages look good. But I'll go with the forced turnovers. Because the shots aren't always going to be falling, but you got to lead with defensive effort and intensity, pressure the ball. They're capable. I'm not saying that they're never going to be in the elite top 5 defense. They're never going to be that. But again, you got to be ball hawks, man. You got to get on it, and that's just with effort. Like our guy Antonio Daniels says, defense is a mindset, not a skill set. So you got to get out there, dig deep, and get after it. And hey, tonight was the Nets. It was a lighter matchup. Do that against Philly. Get after it against Maxey and the boys. Get physical. 2 on the ball. Get the ball out of his hands. Edge comb. Get him on the floor. All of that, man. You got to get gritty again defensively. Yes, there are deficiencies. Yes, there are limitations when you have Cap and Cat out there together and teams try to exploit them. But again, as individuals, you got to man up and muster that energy to get some stops and play with some pride. And look, that's what I thought they did tonight. And they did what they needed to do. All right, so shout out to them. And shout out to the sponsor of the Key Stats of the night, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol drink, man. Check them out, zbiotics.com. And hey, listen, for some of you guys now, some of you guys might be young, but if you're older, a little bit seasoned, a little bit wise, you got some grays like me and Alex here, you might need a little pre-alcohol boost to make sure that you can get through the day. Look, sometimes you're out and about, you're social, you got a birthday party, you got an anniversary type of thing, you're celebrating. Sometimes we celebrate and we do it with alcohol. But look, sometimes you also have responsibilities to get to. You got to take care of the kids. You got to get to work and all of that. So getting up the next morning, as you get older, fellas, it's a little bit harder to recover. But that's where Z-Biotics comes in. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic designed by PhD scientists. And all you do, you make sure you drink it. Make sure it's the first drink of the night. You take care of yourself, you hydrate, and you're setting yourself up for a better tomorrow. So when I use it on the weekends, the next morning, man, I'm good to go. Get up early, get to the gym, get a workout in, and no issues, man. It's definitely a noticeable difference. So if you want to feel your best during the busiest times of the year, grab some Z-Biotics, man. So go to zbiotics.com/KFTV and use code KFTV for 15% off your first order. That's zbiotics.com/KFTV.
When it comes to NBA season, you got to get through your ups and downs, and these guys have been through the ups and downs already together. And like now, going through this whole losing these games the way they're losing them. Like, I'd rather go through a season with the guys that get through the trenches and get through the hard times and then get out of it and get into the playoffs than just cruising through the regular season and then getting into the playoffs. I mean, the Cavs showed it last year. They cruised through the regular season and then they lost in the playoffs because they weren't tested. Like, they got to go through this. They got to show that they can make it through the bad time, and then when it gets to the good time and then they get into the playoffs, then they're not going to get rattled because they know how bad it can be. So, I mean, yeah, it didn't look pretty, and today they showed what happens when they play with their effort and they play with their, their pride and how they're supposed to play. So, I mean, look, we know that this fan base can become a walk-in therapy session when this team does not play well. It's been like that for forever, but we got to know, like, this team has been through it. They went through it last year together. If you got to make a little tweaks here and there, that's fine, but don't mess with the nucleus. It's got to stay together. They'll figure it out. But I've been listening to it and I haven't been had a chance to get on, but it's been like just depressing how quick we are so quick to just jump off a cliff when we go through adversity, vice, just letting them go through it. You know what I mean? Like, if this happens in, late March into April, then that's something to talk about, because now you're going into possibly going into playoffs in a really bad state. But if they're doing it now, they can get through it, and then going into February and March and they start playing well again, then what are we talking about?